Welcome to the Rowdy.com.
What's this?
It's a karate chop.
Who are you, Ultraman?
I'm Wang Chung.
Johnny Sacco's flying robot?
Chum.
Wang Chung.
Is that what you use to catch sharks?
Buck Fever, Bassmasters. We're talking NASCAR with Jerome Buzz Cutler, who has today's 3 big questions.
Yeah, first of all, in case you forgot...
Don't find me, Cutler.
In case you forgot what Brian France and Mike Helton said before the season started, listen to this as a little reminder.
We want to see the emotion of the world's best drivers just as much as everybody else does. And that's the goal for 2010 and beyond.
What we are encouraging the competitors to do, as we have for the past couple of years, is for their character and their personality within reason to be unfolded.
I want you to express your personality.
Now we find out, though, that if you express your personality in a way disparaging NASCAR, you secretly get fined.
Well, there's a couple things here. First of all, it does seem to fly in the face of we want drivers to be themselves. I think we need to remember, though, that sports leagues do this. Fine guys for criticizing officials. But there's a couple differences here. Number one, they did go out of their way to say we want the guys to express themselves, express their personality. So, you know, it's kind of hard to say that and then fine them. It's sort of like express yourself, just don't say anything we don't like. Number two, you know, I think doing it in secret makes it a little different, too. It's like, let's pretend this isn't happening, or let's make sure nobody knows about this. One thing NASCAR's got to do is just be open about all this stuff, because it's going to come out, and you're going to take your lumps. Better to take them up front and say, look, you know, Denny Hamlin said this about the officiating. We can't allow our drivers to criticize the officials or the sanctioning body. Therefore, we're fining them. People will get mad, but at least you're up front about it.
3 things. I mean, this is two-faced, this is hypocritical, and it probably, we don't know, has to be what Denny Hamlin said about the cautions. I don't know that
Who knows what it is?
I don't know that to be the case, but you can't say, have at it, boys, express your personalities, and then secretly fine them. That's a big
I think
brother.
the secretly thing is the part that gets me.
I don't like that at all. I don't like that at all.
Yeah, it's an ongoing criticism that we all have of NASCAR, which is a lack of transparency.
Yeah, and I think that leads to conspiracy theories and so forth. So I think they do better to just be open about these things.
Let's move on to issue number 2. You know, Jamie McMurray and Juan Pablo Montoya very fast at Indianapolis, as was Kevin Harvick. Kevin Harvick atop the point standings. Clint Bowyer, Jeff Burton in the top 12. Are these ECR engines the story that nobody's talking about?
Yes. I think they're a pretty decent story.
I think it's a good point.
think, you know, we don't want to overvalue horsepower. I think they had some pretty good power last year, but you look at what happened to the RCR cars during most of the year. They couldn't use it because they could not get through the corners. Well, now they're getting through the corners, and I think you are seeing a lot of that horsepower show up. Maybe they're the best engines in the garage, you know. I don't know that they are, but certainly they seem to be a big advantage for those guys. When you look at the success, especially at Indy, the speed that a Montoya, that a McMurray, that all the RCR cars seem to show. So I agree with you. I think the ECR engines are pretty stout.
Look at the consistency of Kevin Harvick. He's leading the points by something like 178 points. And he might, under the old point schedule, have this thing almost locked up by now. So I think it's been very consistent, and those engines are performing quite well. And we didn't expect to see it out of Juan Pablo Montoya and Jamie McMurray.
All right, let's move on to issue number 3. I want to be cautious, but it does seem like Ford is maybe turning things around a little bit. Here's what Greg Biffle talked about in describing his car after the Brickyard on Sunday.
Yeah, my car was really, really fast all day. And, you know, I could just cut to the bottom and just lay the throttle to it. And, you know, I was closing on the guys, you know, 10 miles an hour faster than they were. And I just drove by Tony on the short shoot, you know, just arced it out into 3 and to the bottom, and the car is just so fast.
Well, I don't know how you argue with Greg Biffle. If he says they're doing a little bit better, then they're doing a little bit better. I think the guys that this affects the most, Mark Martin and Dale Earnhardt Jr., because if these guys from Roush can stay in the top 12, if they can slowly start to turn it around, those two cats, Mark Martin and Dale Earnhardt Jr., are not going to make the chase. Hendrick cars, wow.
Well, how weird would it be to see 3 Roush cars and 2 Hendrick cars in the chase?
Does not make sense.
I mean, how wacky would that be? But
Crazy.
I think I agree with you, Cutler. You need to be cautious about this, just as Carl Edwards was after his great run at Chicagoland. But see, what we saw there, and we saw it again out of Biffle in Indianapolis, was, hey, these guys are in cars that are, for the first time in well over a year, in my opinion, looked like race-winning cars with enough speed to win the race. Now, neither guy did win those races, but to have a car that can do it, that's a big change for that team. 2 races in a row, at least one of their guys was fast enough to win the race. Now, the other cars look pretty decent, too. I mean, David Reagan looked pretty decent, had a little problem that took away a decent finish from him. Matt Kenseth was okay. Carl Edwards finished in the top 10. So I agree with you that these guys with just that much more speed, a lot easier to stick in the chase. All right, that's been your Radar.com Big Three for today. For Buck, I'm Bass. Thank you, Cutler, for the questions. Much more to talk about tomorrow. A lot of stuff going on this time of year.
A lot of stuff.
And if you want to talk about it, come join us at Rowdy.com. You can now comment on these videos if you watch them on Rowdy.
Yippee.
Isn't that cool?
Rowdy.com. Say it like it is.
Say what like it is?
Rowdy.com.